Hi, welcome back to a special edition of JHart Mess, your #1 resource for the best of the worst celebrity fashion. Today we'll be discussing everything that went down on the MTV VMAs red carpet over the weekend. Typically, I find this award show to be a rich text for mess, offering a wide variety of potent and intriguing black tie stylings that keep my readers fed for months on end. But this year, I actually found it to be shockingly dull, a sad indicator of the current state of rage bait fashion in the world. Even so, there are still a handful of important outfits that I must dissect with you all, so I've cobbled together this little recap of my top 10 looks that simply can't be missed. Thanks as always to Ruth Ann Harnish for supporting even my hottest of hot takes and helping to bring these videos to you each and every month. Now let's take a look at my 2025 VMAs best dress list, whatever that means. I'll begin today with a couple of genuinely stylish outfits before I slip into this channel's usual questionable content. For starters, I genuinely think this might be the best Sabrina Carpenter has ever looked on a red carpet. Despite wearing a number of perfectly lovely gowns over the years, I feel like time and again the pop star has been sabotaged by her glam. But this is a major hair and makeup upgrade that makes me think some fresh artists are in the rotation, because while it's exactly the same concept, it looks light years better executed. I would still like Sabrina to try out literally any other hairstyle, but one problem at a time. And I knew this dress was custom Valentino on site because this is the most Alessandro Michele-ass color combo I've ever seen. I like this gown a lot. I do think the high neckline is giving her a little bit of an unfortunate floating head illusion, but overall it is likewise a vast improvement. It's not that I don't like the vague Madonna/Marilyn attire she usually wears on the red carpet, but I think this look does a really nice job modernizing that reference in a cool way. Ciara looked gorgeous, if a touch too elegant for the VMAs. This Schiaparelli dress is like a couture take on an oversized windbreaker, and I love the door knocker zip pull and vibrancy of the red. But I mostly wanted to bring up this outfit because the silhouette immediately reminded me of the Dior dress Greta Lee debuted at the Venice Film Festival last week. And now I'm wondering if this sort of silhouette with that skin-tight micro mini, jumbo bow detail at the drop waist, and a sort of Cristobal Balenciaga curved back is set to become the hot new silhouette of the season. Stay tuned, I guess. Doja Cat has to be one of my best dressed of the night, not only for the fashions, but also the performance art of it all. This is the first Balmain dress I've liked in a very long time. Maybe even since Tyla attended the Met Gala in that sand gown molded to her body. But I think the tinsel trim and harlequin print is great, and the whole thing feels very Jeremy Scott Moschino to me. A fact that also got me thinking that maybe going full-fledged camp with it is what Olivier Rousteing needs to finally turn Balmain around and shake the Kardashian curse once and for all. However, as longtime viewers know, what I do not love is this tired, played-out choice in Pleaser Mule. The nicest thing I can say about them is that at least they're butter yellow instead of the same old lucite clompers we've seen Doja and every other celebrity traipsing around in for years now. Don't get me wrong, I've got nothing against a pleaser when properly deployed. What I am against is boredom and a total lack of styling imagination. At the very least, choose any other color but clear. Plus, as I mentioned back during the Met Gala, I'm just not sure who we're fooling here with this footwear. No one thinks you're taller than you are, and the line of the leg does not actually look longer when the booster seat is fully visible. Now, outfit aside, I obviously love Doja surreptitiously eating her own lipstick on the red carpet, although it felt a little too obviously fake to me. Like, if you're gonna eat it, really eat it. I want to see the red smeared all over your teeth after. I want some stomach-churning, open-mouth, waxy chomps. I want you to spit out that half-masticated bullet on the red carpet before sashaying away. It needed to be a little more John Waters level of gross out for my taste, but a totally solid PR stunt nonetheless. Speaking of Tyla, she wore a Chanel Spring 1993 top as a very mini dress with a shitload of sponsored Pandora jewelry. And I thought this outfit was notable for a couple reasons, but primarily because it made me realize that there were radically less archival pulls and copycat recreations of the outfits of pop stars past this year compared to 2024's red carpet. And that's something I'm extremely appreciative of, as last year started to feel like one big Halloween party. And while the Kardashians have made me deeply wary of someone reviving an old Claudia Schiffer Chanel runway fit, I thought this one was revived very smartly. Tyla's stylist JHart decided to style this Chanel top as a micro mini dress, which I think gives it a completely new lease on life. And then I'm torn because while I do like seeing the black underwear exposed from the front, I don't love how much brief I can see poking out from behind. But even so, I understand Ronnie did what had to be done in order to pull this off, and pull this off he did. Summer Walker gave us the full Pam Anderson at the 1999 VMAs Fantasy, from her wide-brimmed feather hat all the way down to the beaded fringe on her capris. While I think that particular Pam ensemble is referenced way too often on red carpets, this was a solid enough interpretation, and I love the way Summer put her own twist on it with the addition of the sugar daddy. At one point during this bit, she even stopped to feed her date cotton candy that was perfectly color coordinated with her attire. I think it's a bit anyway. Apologies if this older gentleman is actually the love of her life, but either way, I do think more pop stars should be hiring aspiring actors off Craigslist and casting them in such roles. Like when Nicki Minaj brought the Pope as her plus one to the Grammys. I think if Summer really wanted to drive this joke home, though, she should have gone full Anna Nicole Smith with it and rolled him out there in a wheelchair with his nurse and IV in tow. As always, Meg Stalter continues to be the great muse of my life. She attended the award show in a custom look by Lael Osnes, an outfit that she explained was inspired by a cup. Duh. Meg also perfectly demonstrated exactly the level at which I want all SponCon to be executed, carrying a fully bedazzled Dunkin to-go cup as a purse, rhinestoned by the ultimate queen of rhinestones, A. Marie. But I'm not sure what my most favorite part was about Meg's appearance at the VMAs. This outfit? The fact that no one watching the show seemed to understand her sense of humor? Or that the Twitter stans kept referring to her interchangeably as Ava Max and Kesha? What I love about Rebecca Black is, even if her outfit doesn't totally work, I can always rely on her to deliver something totally out of the box from an up-and-coming designer. And the VMAs were no exception. This pannier lace skirt and direwolf fur halter top are both by Elizabeth Alice. And while these bottoms are old hat for all mess consumers at this point, I am quite taken with the cave woman upper. Once again, this feeds into the general mythical beast trends we've been seeing this year, and which is only further cemented with this choice in pelt-laden sex sandal. Finally, just as I requested, an actually creative way to camouflage a monster platform that isn't just more clear plastic. I also discovered while putting this list together that Rebecca's stylist is Dot Bass, who is also the stylist of Sarah Sherman of Clown Couture fame. And the ambient fabulousness of it all is suddenly coming into sharp focus for me now. Conan Gray wore a look by Eric Charlotte, who Rebecca also wore to the AMAs this year, and I absolutely love this designer's work. I highly recommend following them on Instagram to see all of their otherworldly seafaring clown concoctions. But that said, I unfortunately do not think it's translating quite as well here on Conan, and my one major suggestion for improvement would be exactly the same one I gave Rebecca earlier this year, which is simplify. I think the silhouette is already so interesting and the garment is so ornately constructed that it demands more elevated, streamlined accessorizing. While you should all know I feel passionately about a chapeau, in this particular situation, I think Conan needs to ditch the Dixie cup, and the chunky white platform boot is screwing everything up. It is way too heavy, especially when combined with all this skirt. It really just needs a simple pump and a whole lot of bare leg. Also, I know this is out of Conan's hands, but I think the black backdrop makes the insanity of this waistline get totally lost. And it's really that structure that creates the proper balance to the profusion of ruffles and petticoats going on here. Anyway, I can't complain, this all really could have been so much worse. We could have gotten yet another Christian Siriano cotillion number, and for steering clear of that particular fashion disaster, we should all be incredibly thankful. I have not seen any media outlets post about Sexyy Red's outfit, and I don't understand why not, as I think this little devil dress is great. I was already sold off the horn nipples alone, and then I realized that the coiled up cord in her hand is actually her tail. Perfection. Although I am outraged that at no point on this red carpet did she get to use that tail as a whip. Seems like a huge missed opportunity. I also always enjoy the fat stack of bills Sexyy has eternally glued to one hand every time she sets foot on a red carpet. But I do feel like it's time for her to upgrade those bills from ones to hundreds. And I understand that the big chain is part of the culture and her branding, but I would love to see her mix up the jewels every now and then, as I feel like a larger chain can sometimes pull too much focus from such a major outfit. You're going to hear me expound upon this theory at length in next week's video, rounding up the best bad fashions from August. But in summary, I've noticed a trompe l'oeil trend where celebs are wearing images of their body printed atop their real body, and that look is starting to bleed into a more uncanny 3D realm. I wryly suggested that we really take things to the next level by strapping mannequin parts atop our real parts, or dabbling in a little body horror like those twins who said they were into extreme body modification and lied about cutting off one of their arms and grafting it onto the other twin's chest. And now, wouldn't you know it, singer JHart has made all of my twin arm amputation fantasies a reality. Truly insane. And I can't believe I haven't learned to watch my mouth already, because every theoretical outfit I've ever described has swiftly become a reality. As always, I am absolutely gobsmacked and terrified by my own abilities to accurately predict the fashion future. And if you haven't seen this month's GQ cover already, I'm sorry to report that I did it again. Anyway, needless to say, I'm obsessed with the bonus arms at play here, and whoever fabricated them needs to be poached by Madame Tussauds immediately, because the realness is leaving me reeling. And finally, this isn't technically fashion, I guess, but after making his official debut last year, much to my delight, we got another Chippy sighting on the step and repeat. However, I feel he is still not being utilized to his utmost advertorial potential. Chippy is, of course, Doritos' sentient IP that they insist on sending down the VMAs red carpet in the most impotent of ways. At least this year they let him have a little drip with this Doritos chain and the Nike Dunks. But if you're going to go to all this trouble and money to sell a product that pretty much sells itself, I don't understand why you wouldn't want him to be more active and in the mix. Photobomb celebs, make TikToks about their favorite chip flavors, leave a trail of Doritos crumbs wherever he goes. I hate when ad executives trick me into doing their job better for them. Now fingers crossed they at least give him a Miss Chippy as a date next year. Okay, that's been your VMAs digest. If you want a whole lot more where that came from, go read all about it in my newsletter at iHeartMess.com. The link will be in the caption below. Thanks so much for watching, and thanks again to Ruth Ann Harnish for all her support. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and sign up for a membership. I'll see you back here in like a week from now with your usual August roundup. Bye.